It's that time. Hang on. The moment you've been waiting for. Eddie is here with his Sports Pulse segment. And Eddie, the NHL was busy as June drew to a close.
Yes, it was. And Gary, that was one hell of an introduction. Thank you very much for that.
I tried.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. That was awesome. Well, you know what? Before I get into the NHL frenzy, the trade frenzy, and the free agent frenzy, just a quick one here. For all you hockey fans out there, and I know Joe's a big one. Alex Delvecchio, longtime Detroit Red Wing and former captain of the Red Wings, has just passed away at the age of 93. I mean, he won three Stanley Cups in the heyday of the Red Wing dynasty in the 50s, and he was a Red Wing from beginning to end. He joined the league in '51. He retired from the Red Wings in 1972. Great guy, very eloquent, always willing to give an interview. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1977, and he played an outstanding 1,671 games.
Wow.
So, our thoughts go out anytime we have a Hall of Famer of that caliber pass away, and it's very sad to see. But such is life, Gary, and the
Yeah.
NHL will forever remember him. And I certainly remember him as a young boy, Alex Delvecchio. I just love that name,
Yeah.
especially Canadians and Red Wings playing, and Danny Gallivan mentioning
Yes. Yeah.
Delvecchio crossing the line. So
Yeah.
I do remember him. A lot of us, I'm sure, have some fond memories of his days, and our condolences to his family and his friends. Nice guy.
Yeah.
I just thought
Oh,
I'd throw that one in there.
yeah. No, definitely. And I meant to mention that when we were talking. And, yeah. I remember watching the black and white TV, the hockey games
Yes.
in New Brunswick through the regular season. We didn't get the network feed until it was sometime in the second period. So you'd only get the last part of the game, but
Right.
you still Del Vecchio and Gordie Howe and
Lindsay,
Jacques Plum, and
Ted
you
Lindsay.
just go, yeah, you just
Yeah.
go on and on and on. No helmets or anything like that. Elbows up, the whole
I know.
shooting match.
Yeah.
It was just amazing, and yeah, so sad thing, but
Yes.
he's left a legacy, that's for sure.
Yeah. He had a good life. He passed at 93. So rest his soul.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, and condolences to his family.
absolutely.
Anyway, on the action side, you know what, Gary? I was expecting a hell of a lot more from a frenzy perspective in terms of major trades. So, you know what? I'll just stick with some of the things I observe here from for Canadian teams, which is what we're all pretty much interested in. You know what? I really thought the Edmonton Oilers would be making bigger moves in order to bolster their goaltending and their defensive core, and didn't really see a whole hell of a lot happening. The only thing they did do, from what I've seen, was of consequence was Evander Kane was traded to the Vancouver Canucks for a 2025 fourth round pick. That was pretty much the only big move. I don't think they acquired anything of significance. They also traded away Victor Arvidsson to the Boston Bruins for a 2027 fifth round. So I think they're already thinking kind of maybe a mini rebuild of sorts. I don't know, but they didn't really seem to acquire a whole hell of a lot so far. So far. But the big news is anytime the Toronto Maple Leafs are involved, Gary, I think of you all the time. Yeah, so one of the core four, Mitch Marner, traded to the Las Vegas Knights for Nicholas Roy. And you know what? I think the Maple Leafs did good in terms of releasing him because Mitch Marner, as you know, Gary, hockey careers are very short. Hockey players are a business on their own. They run their own private. They're all incorporated privately. They want to make the best buck they possibly can while they can play hockey. And Mitch Marner is not the biggest of hockey players, so the wear and tear eventually will get to him. But you know what? I think the Maple Leafs releasing Mitch Marner will get some salary cap space made available to them for the rest of the team. As I mentioned to you, the Toronto Maple Leafs core four take up a majority of the entire salary cap. So getting rid of Mitch Marner as opposed to giving him what he wants, I think was a great move for the Toronto Maple Leafs, number one. And number two, maybe bring up players from the inside and give them an opportunity to showcase themselves. Because Mitch Marner is one of those hockey players that'll get you to the playoffs, but he will not get you through the playoffs. He pretty much disappears when the chips are down. Yeah, he might get a couple of good assists, but you got to put the puck in the net. And the last series, he just got completely pushed around by Florida. So he got traded to the Knights, and I think he signed a significant contract as well. So good for him if it works out for him, but I don't know. I think the Las Vegas Knights picked up a flat tire, if you ask me. But only time will tell. I think he's going to turn out being a lemon for them. Maybe their scouts see something else that Marner needed a change of scenery, but time will tell. So I think the Leafs made a good move in getting rid of him, and good riddance. Thank you very much for your time. Let's move on, and we'll see what happens. The other player I want to talk about, which I loved, is the Edmonton Oiler killer, playing for the Florida Panthers, Brad the Rat Marchand, former captain of the Boston Bruins. I think he scored like 6 or 7 goals against the Edmonton Oilers, and key goals, first goals, overtime goals. I mean, he was just. I thought he should have been the MVP of the Stanley Cup Finals, but such is that he didn't get it. He was rewarded at 37 years of age, $31.5 million contract for 6 years. You know what? Good for him. One of those mucker players that's got experience. He's got talent. He goes into the corners after pucks. He just doesn't float around like the core four for Toronto. He's in there. I'm really happy for him. I really am, Gary. Brad Marchand of the Panthers extending his contract for 6 years. And I think that was a major headline. Everybody was thrilled to see. A lot of people online were very thrilled to see that he got that kind of, first of all, that kind of money, and second of all, staying with the Stanley Cup champion. And Gary, I think the Panthers were very interested in keeping him in terms of his leadership, because the Florida Panthers have just become a contender for the Stanley Cup championship again, for a three-peat by bringing Brad Marchand on board. Really, really good news. From the Montreal Canadiens front, I'm not sure if you remember Logan Mailloux, the troubled youngster that Bergevin brought over. He had some run-in with the law in Sweden, and he was brought on board anyway. And as a matter of fact, he was actually hidden away for a while until the dust settled, and he went through. He went through coaching. He went through, I believe, some form of therapy to help him with this problem. He played a few games for the Canadiens, didn't do too bad. Played most of his season with the Laval Rocket. He's a big boy, up and coming, but the Canadiens have traded him. They sent him over to the St. Louis Blues, and they picked up a right winger, a big guy, Zach Bolduc, which is I think is a local boy, and he's going to really contribute to the size factor, which the Montreal Canadiens certainly need. So I think it was a good trade for the Canadiens. And also Caden Primo, a goaltender for Canadiens, not last season, but the season before, had a really, really rough time at the NHL level. They finally decided to cut ties with him, and they sent him over to the Carolina Hurricanes. almost for a bag of pucks, really. I mean, this guy was supposed to be the next. He was supposed to be the next Patrick Roy, and it just never turned out that way. So yeah, he was traded for a seventh round in 2026. So that's pretty
Whoa.
much the equivalent of a bag of pucks. And I hope he does well there. Any other ones here? Yes, the Winnipeg Jets signed Nyquist from the Minnesota Wild. That's a big acquisition for them, and I'm not sure if it's happened or not. But Jonathan Toews, former captain of the Chicago Blackhawks, who kind of retired temporarily for a few years to heal his wounds. I'm not sure if he's done it yet or not, but I think Winnipeg Jets are going to bring him on board for a year, if I'm not mistaken, which I think will be good in terms of getting some added leadership in that dressing room. And that would certainly help. And another one for the Winnipeg Jets is Nikolai Ehlers, top player for the Jets. Today, he's supposed to decide whether he's going to stay with them or not. If he doesn't, it's a big loss for the Winnipeg Jets. Let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks because we have Joe F.
Yeah.
paying very close attention to this one.
And I was just thinking about that because anything that I heard over the weekend, I didn't hear a whole lot about the Canucks.
No, Bessner is staying. Their top player has decided to stay put, which I think is great for the hockey team. I think they still have some personality conflict issues that they have to contend with in terms of their goaltender and somebody else, because it for some reason was a very, very toxic dressing room last year. And as a result of that, when you have a toxic dressing room, the coaches lose in the dressing room, and then inevitably you don't make the playoffs. And the Canucks did not make the playoffs last year. So good news is Bessner decided to stay. He didn't have to, but he decided to stay. So obviously he must have seen something that was worth his time. And that's pretty much it, Gary. Nothing tremendous beyond that. But the trading season is early. There's still a lot of good free agents available out there, and we'll see what happens. I don't think the Canadians are going to dip in the free agents market because I tell you what, they have a solid team going into next season. A solid bunch of youngsters that continue to build on. Bringing in Zach Bolduc in terms of size and experience and expertise will certainly help with some gray hairs in the team. You need a good balance of young guys and a lot of experience. So, you know what? I think we're going to have a very, very exciting season again with the Montreal Canadiens.
And this is what are the rebuilding? This would be year 4?
I think this is going to be year 4. Yeah, year 4 or 5. I think it's year 4 actually.
Yeah.
On the besides the trade front, also I just wanted to mention about Carey Price. He was overlooked for the Hall of Fame this year. He will be a Hall of Famer. They elected not to choose him this year in terms of the voting. A lot of folks are saying, he's never won a Stanley Cup, yada yada. But you know what? He's won everything else. And you really have to look at the horrible teams, the Montreal Canadiens teams that he's played with. Only one time had he ever had a forward in front of him that scored more than 70 points, and that was Kovalev. And that's eons ago. So, you know what? Fantastic goaltender. Deserves the Hall of Fame. It's just unfortunate there's no way he was going to win a Stanley Cup with the Montreal Canadiens of those days. A young Carey Price now on that team, with the set of players that are there, guaranteed to win a Stanley Cup at some point. So he'll get on there at some point. And last but not least, just breaking off from the NHL just for a second, Gary, the Canadian Football League and my glorious, wonderful Montreal Alouettes. Well, they lost their starting quarterback, and guess what inevitably happened? They lost the game. So Alouettes are without their starting quarterback. They lost to the Hamilton Tiger Cats 35-17. Just for our colleague out west, Joe F., who's a beloved British Columbia Lion fan, they lost to Saskatchewan Roughriders last week, 37-18, Joe. Better luck next time. The only team that remains undefeated at 4-0 are the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who beat the said British Columbia Lions last week. Their quarterback used to be Montreal Alouettes quarterback Trevor Harris. They are 4-0 right now. He's got them running on all cylinders. They're the only team that's 4-0 right now. So good for them. I'm really pleased to see the former Alouette is making career for himself again. And the next game in Montreal on Saturday is said British Columbia Lions against Montreal Alouettes. So, Joe, we'll have to get together for a bet or something, and maybe send a case of beer to each other, depending on who wins or loses.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of virtual beers while the
A
game's
couple of
on.
virtual beers too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's it from my front, Gary.